Alright guys, today we're going to be playing numbers 49 through 51. We're not going to be focusing on note names. It's just open A and open D. That's it. And then we're going to skip the rhythm as well because the rhythms are not that difficult either. It's the same thing pretty much every measure, so we're not focused on that. We're mainly focusing on the right arm. Please make sure you have watched the bow hold video. Violins, violas, we have a nice bow hold going on with a bent pinky on top, with a bent thumb in the back. Cellos, basses, we have a nice bow hold going on with a bent thumb in the back. Our index finger is curved to help support the bow when we have it down here. We don't want this. This is bad. None of that going on. Nice bent fingers. All right, I'm going to jump right into individual instruments, starting with violin. All right, so instrument is up on our shoulder. Turn myself a little bit. Instrument is up on the shoulder. And what we should do first is practice just tipping our arm from one string to the next. It should be a very mechanical motion. It shouldn't be this slow, squishy motion. That's how we end up getting two strings at the same time. We don't want to hit two strings at the same time. So nice mechanical clicking from one string to the next. This is a shoulder motion. It's not a wrist. Okay? It's not an elbow thing. It's a shoulder. Okay? The wrist, elbow, fingers, that all helps move the bow and keep it straight. The shoulder is what changes what string we're on. So, starting on number 49. 1, 2, ready, and tip your arm to the D string, go. Tip it back to the A string, repeat. Back to D, ready, play. It's like the third one of those in the last 10 minutes. All right, moving on to number 50. Number 50. Now we only have 2 beats of rest to tip our arm from one string to the next. Okay, make sure we're trying to use a nice full bow. We don't want we want nice long bows. And use your fingers to keep the bow straight in between the bridge and the fingerboard. It shouldn't be way up here. Let's go ahead and play 50. 1, 2, ready, play. Rest, tip. Rest, tip, back. Tip. Now we're going to move on to 51. 51 is a little bit more difficult because we're going to end on a down bow and then we have to tip our arm where our arm is all the way extended. It's not as bad as it seems. You do have to move your arm a little bit more though to make sure you get to the correct string. Let's go ahead and play 51. Check that bow hold. Make sure it's nice and relaxed. Okay, bent thumb in the back, bent thumb. Keeping that bow nice and straight on the strings. 51. 1, 2, ready, play. Tip. Tip, back. Tip. And that's how you play changing strings on violin. Let's switch to viola. All right, viola, number 49. Go ahead and put your instrument up. We need to make sure that as we're changing what string we're going to, it's a nice click from one string to the next. Click down, click back up. The movement should come from your shoulder, not from other things. Okay, this makes life difficult. Move the shoulder. This is when you do get to move it. As you're going down bow and up bow, it shouldn't move. But as you change strings, that's when it moves. Let's go ahead and play number 49. Make sure, you can't see it in the video, but make sure that you have your knees separated, because as we play on our A string, that bow is going to come down in between our knees. We need to make sure that we have our legs separated so we're not stopping our bow on accident by hitting our legs. 49. Nice, relaxed bow hold, bent thumb. Let the instrument and the bow do the work. 1, 2, ready, and tip your bow, ready, play. Tip it back, repeat the song. Tip your arm back, ready, play. Now we're going to move on to number 50. In this song, you only have 2 beats to click your arm from one string to the next. Okay, so make sure we're doing that quickly. A nice, quick, snappy motion. 1, 2, ready, 50. Tip your bow. Tip it back. Tip it down. Good job. That's it for number 50. Moving on to 51. This one's a little more difficult because we're going to end going down bow, and during that rest is when we have to change our strings. And so it's going to be a larger motion for the arm, simply because your bow is fully extended out, so it's going to take a little more work to get it to tip to the next string. That's all. Let's go ahead and play 51. 1, 2, ready, and tip, tip back, tip, and that's it. That's how you tip from string to string during rests on the viola. I'm going to go ahead and switch to cello now. All right, cello players, make sure I have enough rosin on my bow. All right, I do. I'm going to tip this down a little more so you can see. I'm going to scoot back. There we go. I'm sitting on a stool, so I'm kind of sitting awkward. Sorry. All right. So, making sure that our cello is nice and straight on ourselves. I can already tell I need to extend my end pin just a little bit more, which could be hard to do because I'm on a stool. It's about as long as it gets. All right. So we want to make sure our cello is at a good height. Keeping our body nice and straight. Move the cello to you. Do not try and like contort your body around the cello. Keep your body straight. Move the cello to you. That C peg should be about behind your ear. And then we're going to make sure we have a nice relaxed bow hold. That thumb should be bent. And then we're going to rest on the D string. Let the bow and the string do the work. Should be a nice relaxed motion as you bow on your string. And something that's very easy to start doing and you need to resist doing is this with your bow hold. Don't start pointing. We don't want to point that way. This is bad. You lose a lot of wrist motion that you're able to do. So we need to make sure we pronate our hand the other direction. My thumb is directly behind my middle finger. That helps a lot as well. Make sure you're on the tip of your thumb is nice and bent, and then all your other fingers are nice and bent underneath the bow. My index finger is holding some of the weight of the bow. When you point out like that, you're using that part of your hand to hold the weight. Don't use that to hold the weight. Okay? Let's go ahead and play number 49. We're tipping the arm So when we go to play our A string, we're going to lift our shoulder up a little bit, our whole arm and shoulder. As we switch to the D string, tip the arm back. That's what we're working on right now. Number 49. 1, 2, ready, play. Tip your arm to the D string, play. Tip it back in the mechanical motion. Tip it back. Ready, last time. Let's move on to number 50. We're down to 2 beats to change strings. 1, 2, ready, go. Tip your bow. Tip it back. Click it back down. Now we're going to move on to 51. This one's a little more difficult because we're going to end on down bow when we have to change strings, and that requires more arm motion. That's okay, you just have to be prepared for it and watch your strings, make sure we're making the full click onto the next string. Let's go ahead and play 51. Check that bow hold again, make sure we're still nice and bent everywhere. Ready, play. Tip. 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 And that's how you tip the bow from string to string on cello. Moving on to bass. All right, bass players. Make sure that we have a nice bow hold that we've been working on in class. Nice bent thumb, relaxed fingers. Your fingers should be dropped all the way down past the frog. Okay, so my middle finger is on the ferrule. My thumb is directly behind that as well. Okay. Then we rest the bow on the string. Let the instrument and the bow do most of the work. Okay. Something you need to watch out for, make sure we don't fall like that. This is a bad bow hold. You're holding the weight with this part of your hand over here. We don't want that. Hold more of the weight with that index finger in the front. And we leave it there. As we go to tip strings, we're going to lower the shoulder or raise the shoulder. That's what we're going for right now. Make sure to keep the bow in between the fingerboard and the bridge. Number 49, starting our open A string. 1, 2, ready, go. Tip the bow to the D string, play. Tip it back, ready, play. Tip it up, last time, go. Now we're going to move on to number 50. You only get 2 beats to tip your bow now. Remember, it should be a nice mechanical motion, a click onto the next string, not this slow, mushy movement. A nice click. 1, 2, ready, 50. Tip your bow. Tip it back. Ready, tip. Last one we're going to do, number 51. This one's a little more difficult because we're going to end on down bow for our rest, and then we have to move our arm a little bit more to get tipped to the next string. Don't worry about that, just be aware of it. It shouldn't be too hard to do though, you just got to move your arm a little bit more. Let's play 51. Make sure you still have a nice bow hold. We haven't tipped down to the pointing finger. We don't want to be pointing. 1, 2, ready, play. Tip. And that's how you play changing strings with the bow on bass. Bye.